Elijah, the prophet of fire and fervor, stands as one of the most enigmatic and revered figures in the tapestry of biblical history. His life is woven with miracles, dramatic confrontations, and a steadfast dedication to the worship of the one true God. Though his story unfolds primarily in the Old Testament, the legacy of Elijah reaches far beyond, resonating across Christian traditions and cultures around the world. The story of Elijah begins in the 9th century BCE in the northern kingdom of Israel, a land rife with turmoil and spiritual decline. The nation was ruled by King Ahab and his queen, Jezebel, figures infamous for promoting the worship of Baal, a Canaanite deity. At this time, idolatry and injustice had spread widely, and the people's allegiance to Yahweh, the God of Israel, had waned. Into this troubled world appeared Elijah the Tishbite, a prophet from the region of Gilead, whose very name means, "My God is Yahweh." Elijah's ministry was characterized by an unwavering commitment to God and a boldness that set him apart from his contemporaries. He first appears in the biblical narrative with an audacious proclamation to King Ahab that there would be neither dew nor rain in the land except at his word. This declaration, found in the first book of Kings, marked the beginning of a severe drought, a divine judgment intended to demonstrate the impotence of Baal, the supposed storm god. During the drought, Elijah withdrew to the wilderness, where he experienced God's providence in miraculous ways. He was fed by ravens at the brook Cherith and later provided for by a widow in Zarephath. In this foreign land, Elijah performed one of his first miracles, the multiplication of flour and oil to sustain the widow's household, and the raising of her son from the dead. These acts not only testified to God's power, but also foreshadowed the compassion and miraculous deeds later associated with Jesus. Elijah's most dramatic confrontation with idolatry occurred on Mount Carmel. There, he challenged 450 prophets of Baal to a public contest to determine whose God was truly alive. The prophets of Baal called upon their deity from morning until noon, but nothing happened. Then Elijah repaired the altar of Yahweh, drenched it with water, and prayed. Fire fell from heaven, consuming the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and even the water in the trench. The people fell prostrate, declaring, "The Lord, He is God." This event stands as a defining moment in biblical history, revealing the power of faith and the futility of false gods. Yet Elijah's life was not free from fear or despair. After the victory on Carmel, Jezebel threatened his life, and Elijah fled into the wilderness, exhausted and despondent. There, under a broom tree, he prayed for death. Instead, God sent an angel to strengthen him, and Elijah journeyed to Mount Horeb, also known as Sinai. There, in a cave, he experienced God not in the wind, earthquake, or fire, but in a gentle whisper, a profound lesson on the subtlety of divine presence. Elijah's later years were marked by continued prophetic ministry. He condemned injustice, rebuked kings, and anointed successors, most notably Elisha, who would inherit his mantle. Elijah's earthly journey concluded in a manner unparalleled in Scripture. As he and Elisha walked together, a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared, and Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind. This extraordinary departure cemented Elijah's status as a prophet who transcended death, fueling centuries of speculation and hope regarding his return. Elijah's holiness is evident throughout his life. He lived in obedience to God's commands, often at great personal risk. His prayers brought drought and rain. His words held kings accountable. His miracles demonstrated God's compassion and sovereignty. Elijah embodied the prophetic ideal, a voice for truth, a champion of the oppressed, and a relentless opponent of idolatry. In Christianity, Elijah's significance extends beyond his historical narrative. He is seen as a forerunner of Christ, a symbol of the prophetic tradition fulfilled in Jesus. In the Gospels, Elijah appears at the Transfiguration, alongside Moses, conversing with Jesus as his glory is revealed to Peter, James, and John. This scene underscores Elijah's role as a bridge between the Old and New Testaments and his enduring relevance in the Christian faith. Elijah is also invoked in the New Testament as a figure of expectation. Many believed that Elijah would return before the coming of the Messiah, a belief rooted in the prophecy of Malachi. "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and terrible day of the Lord." Early Christians identified John the Baptist as fulfilling this role, coming in the spirit and power of Elijah to prepare the way for Jesus. The feast of Prophet Elijah is observed in various Christian traditions, though the date and form of celebration may differ. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, Elijah is commemorated on July 20th, a day marked by special liturgies, processions, and prayers for rain. The feast is especially significant in regions prone to drought, where Elijah is venerated as a protector and intercessor. In the Roman Catholic tradition, Elijah is honored as a saint, particularly among the Carmelite order, who trace their spiritual lineage to the prophet's sojourn on Mount Carmel. Beliefs and traditions surrounding Elijah are rich and varied across the Christian world. In the Middle East, he is often revered as a miracle worker and a patron of the poor. Pilgrims visit sites associated with his life, such as Mount Carmel and the presumed location of his ascension, seeking blessings and healing. Among Ethiopian Christians, Elijah is celebrated as a model of asceticism and prayer, inspiring monastic communities to emulate his devotion. In Slavic countries, the Feast of Elijah is intertwined with agricultural customs. Farmers pray for rain and protection from storms, and processions may include the blessing of fields and animals. In Greece and the Balkans, chapels dedicated to Prophet Elijah are often built on hilltops, reflecting the belief in his power over the elements. These traditions blend biblical reverence with local folklore, creating a tapestry of practices that honor the prophet's enduring presence. Elijah's influence also extends to popular piety and art. He is depicted in icons, frescoes, and stained glass, usually shown ascending to heaven in a fiery chariot or confronting the prophets of Baal. His story inspires sermons, hymns, and prayers, reminding believers of the importance of faithfulness, courage, and reliance on God. Ecumenically, Elijah is a figure who unites Christians across denominational lines. His example challenges believers to confront injustice, uphold truth, and trust in God's providence, even in times of uncertainty. In an age marked by division and doubt, the legacy of Elijah calls the faithful to rekindle their commitment to holiness and to bear witness to the living God. From the windswept hills of ancient Israel to the churches and shrines of modern Christendom, the spirit of Elijah endures. His life is a testament to the power of conviction, the necessity of prophetic courage, and the mystery of God's ways. Through feast and festival, prayer and pilgrimage, Christians around the world remember the prophet who stood alone on Carmel, who heard God in the silence, and who was taken up in glory. In honoring Elijah, they affirm their own calling to be witnesses, to strive for holiness, and to await, with hope, the day when the Lord will be revealed in power and majesty.